I'm John Norquist, the President and CEO of the Congress for the New Urbanism, and this is the 22nd Congress, and we are holding it here in Buffalo, and it is absolutely fantastic. The attendance is beyond expectations. The programs are exciting. We've already had some with the 101s this morning, and then also we have a program tonight, and we have a number of elected officials that are here with us who want to greet the crowd. And Governor. The first speaker is the governor of the state of New York, actually the lieutenant governor of the state of New York, Robert Duffy, who not only is lieutenant governor, but also was mayor of Rochester, New York, a city that's really coming on strong, thanks in part to his laying the groundwork for that to happen while he was mayor. And before that, he was police chief, and he's an urbanist. And like me, he's happy that Rochester is removing a great separated section of road in and around their downtown, which has damaged the city for the last 40 years. And so it is my pleasure to introduce Lieutenant Governor Robert Duffy.
I see eye to eye with Mayor Norquist. First of all, on behalf of Governor Cuomo, I am very, very proud to be here. I want to welcome you. This is the 22nd annual CNU gathering, and you couldn't have picked a better spot than Buffalo, New York. So a couple of quick things. I know we have some elected officials speaking. I want to certainly recognize and thank Mark Poloncarz, who's the county executive in Erie County, as well as we have Mayor Dyster from Niagara Falls right here. And Mayor Bryan Brown is coming. I'm going to see if he's here. Mayor Bryan Brown is right here. I want to thank him because the mayor is the host mayor here. And I would say you've picked Buffalo, the Queen City. It is a great place to come and have this conference just based on some of the things that this organization, what you stand for, and really what you push for and help really change this country. Buffalo, like Rochester and Syracuse and all the upstate cities, have faced some very, very difficult times. Mayor Brown has done an extraordinary job. He received an EPA award this year for the Green Code in Buffalo, and this is a city that's on the move tremendously. It's moving ahead. It's doing some great, great things with adaptive reuse. He has been a great leader behind that. I think that another core part of the change here is the private sector leadership. Howard Zemsky, who may be in the audience. Howard, I think during closing ceremonies, you'll be in Howard's area, Larkinville, a tremendous project that he has created here in Buffalo, reusing buildings and reinvigorating them in downtown Buffalo. He's a great business leader. He also chairs and co-chairs the governor's regional councils, but I just touch on in a few minutes just very, very slightly. Rocco Termini is another developer here in Rochester who I had a chance to tour some of his work. Great work going on right here in his city, taking some absolutely beautiful buildings, some beautifully architecturally gorgeous buildings that maybe have had some tough times and bringing those back to life. And that really is what's happening here in Buffalo. And that's why I think that having this 22nd annual CNU gathering here is really appropriate. I also want to say I work for a governor who has invested heavily in cities across the state, Buffalo being one. Governor Cuomo has pledged $1 billion to this region here, and a lot of that money is going to bringing businesses into the urban core, as well as helping to help revitalize the city by putting money into issues of sustainability and planning that really helps turn the cities around. He has done extraordinarily well. He has created these 10 regional councils, if I could just tell you very briefly. They're across the state. He has subdivided New York State into 10 regions. They are led by regional councils, one business leader, Howard Zemsky here in Western New York, one leader of academia. The president of the University of Buffalo, Satish Tripathi, is a co-chair here. And what I think it's interesting to this group, what these organizations do around the state is it really drives decisions on development to the ground level to the neighborhood level, the cities and counties, where they make the decisions and make recommendations to the state for funding. Governor also, as part of these 10 regions, gave each region $1 million for sustainability planning, which is a big thing. So he took the money not from taxpayer money, but out of the RGGI funds. So it really comes back from the regional greenhouse gas initiative. It comes back. He's using that across the state to have each region have their own sustainability plans, which I think is terrific. And the list goes on and on. I don't want to, I could get up here and talk. I think that I want to make sure I just bring this to a close. I know that you have a lot going on tonight, but we have a governor in this state who gets it, who invests very, very heavily. We have mayors and leaders like Mayor Brown, Mayor Dyster, and Mark Poloncarz, who are doing great things. I'm from Rochester. I know out in the audience is, I think Roger Brown may be here, Johnny Monroe, who've done great work in Rochester. I want to thank them for the work they've done. John just mentioned the Interloop, which is the back during the 1960s, during urban renewal, they really destroyed a big part of the real estate, built a moat around downtown, and that is finally going to be filled in, and the downtown, the center core is going to be reinvigorated. And people like Roger and Johnny and many others, and another person I want to mention is my predecessor is Mayor Bill Johnson, who was a huge advocate against sprawl. He's been, I think, one of the national leaders when he was mayor in Rochester for 3 terms. Led a lot of efforts to really stop sprawl and focus more on re-energizing our cities. So there's a lot going on. I will close by saying this. To have this many people here in Buffalo and upstate New York, we're glad to have you here. We hope you spend a lot of money while you're here and invest in the city and the county. But we also hope that out of this gathering, there are ideas and suggestions that we can use here, not only in Buffalo, but across the state. Because I think when you have this collection of great minds and talent from really around the world who are here, the ideas and the talent that you bring here, the synergies that really happen at a conference like this are extraordinary. And so I want to close on behalf of the governor, on behalf of all of us. I want to thank you for the work you do around the country and around the world. I want to thank the mayor, who has always been a national leader, going back to his time in Milwaukee. He has done so much to focus on cities and revitalizing cities and our urban cores around the country. And again, I wish you have a great conference here in the Queen City, and I hope you come away with some great things that we could use in the future. Thank you all, and God bless you. John?
Oh, and one other good thing about Governor Cuomo that you forgot to mention, Governor, was that Governor Cuomo is the one who, as HUD Secretary, implemented the Hope 6 reforms that were recommended to him by the Congress for the New Urbanism. And so we appreciate that. Byron Brown is the mayor of Buffalo, New York, and Buffalo, New York has had some good things happen recently. One of them is the Green Code, which he has led the battle to make that happen. Byron Brown, come on up. I met Byron Brown in the City Hall when he was first elected, and I just was with him in the office a few weeks ago, and I can tell you that he has not wasted money on fancy furnishings. He's very frugal, and he spends his money on the people. So, Mayor Brown.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I first had the opportunity to meet Mr. Norquist when he was mayor of Milwaukee. He gave me a tremendous tour of the city, learned a lot from him, still learning a lot from him, and I want to thank him for that warm introduction. One of the things that I first heard when I walked in from one of the founders of the Congress of the New Urbanism, Mr. Doug Kelbaugh, is if you want to be a hit with this group, keep your comments real short. So I want you to know that I have gotten my marching orders from one of your founders, and I'm not going to speak too long, but I do want to recognize John Norquist, your president and CEO, for his extraordinary leadership of CNU. As you know, after this conference, John has made the decision to retire, and I just want you to join me in giving him a big round of applause for his transformational work. Well, you've heard about a lot of the great things that are happening here in the city of Buffalo. You've been able to see a lot of the great things that are happening. I want you to know that we are so honored in this community to host the 22nd annual conference of Congress of the New Urbanism here in Buffalo. This is a huge deal for our community, and probably the largest planning event that has taken place in Buffalo since Frederick Law Olmsted Jr. was the host of the National City Planning Conference in 1919. So thank you all very much for being with us here in Buffalo. This city is undergoing an amazing transformation. You heard Lieutenant Governor Duffy talk about the tremendous investment taking place in Buffalo, over $4.3 billion of investment that's projected to create over 10,000 new jobs in this community. We have been very focused on green, walkable solutions to turn our community around. We have a new zoning code that you're looking at during this year's conference, which we call the Green Code. It is the first comprehensive rewrite of zoning in Buffalo since 1953. In 1953, that was the year that Elvis Presley put out his first album. So we are very pleased that this historic effort to revamp our zoning along a place-based strategy in the city of Buffalo. We've been able to cut the tax rate in Buffalo, residentially down almost 16%, commercially over 29%. We have a complete streets master plan. We now have 60 bike mile lanes in the city of Buffalo, and at the end of our planning process, we'll have 120. But again, enough speech from me as your founder directed. I want you to have a great stay in Buffalo. I want you to share ideas and information. We certainly are going to be picking your brain as you are here in town. And I want you to know that we have great food, great fun, great beverage in Buffalo. This is the home of the Chicken Wing and the Anchor Bar on Main Street. The Elmwood Village, one of America's top 10 neighborhoods, is a great place to eat, to drink. Hurdle Avenue, Allentown. If you have a taste for soul food, Gigi's Restaurant and Maddie's on the east side of Buffalo, all great places to go. Final comment I'll make as we talk about food and fun and entertainment. A few years ago, the national sales headquarters of Labatt USA moved to the city of Buffalo. And I was meeting with the CEO and asking, was it all the great things that you heard about Buffalo, the economic development, the great people, the trained workforce, the tax cutting that we've done? He said, no, it's that people in Buffalo and Western New York are the largest consumers of Labatt beverages. So as you go through your sessions, as you talk about planning and walkability and what makes great places and great cities and great urban environments, please go out, spend some money, have some fun, and try some of that great Labatt beer at some of the great establishments in Buffalo. Thank you all very much.
Okay, and then speaking of walkability, the Skyway and the freeway that goes all the way up to the Peace Bridge, where everybody has to wait for 2 hours to go over the Peace. Why do they have to have the freeway, get them there real fast so they sit for 2 hours? So I was just going to suggest, as long as you were here, tear down the expressways that block Buffalo from, yeah, okay, all right. Good, and the mayor said, went like this. That means yes. Okay. All right, so next up, we have Paul Dyster, who's actually in the process of tearing down a Robert Moses Road. He's the mayor of Niagara Falls, and his goal is to have Olmsted's vision restored, and that Niagara Falls would be, U.S. Niagara Falls would be the one that everybody thinks is better. But most of all, he's a mayor who has vision, and I've been watching you, Paul. You're doing a really good job. Come on up here.
You see, Mayor Brown went right for John's sweet spot with that Labatt's pitch, right? So, for those of you who know John. So, I don't know how much you know about the history of the city of Niagara Falls or its relationship to Buffalo. The predecessor to the city of Niagara Falls, the villages of Manchester and Suspension Bridge, actually predate Buffalo because there was a need for a portage around Niagara Falls before there was an Erie Canal, right? And over 100 years ago, Niagara Falls was the center of scientific inquiry in the world. It was the place where all the great scientists from Tesla to Edison aspired to come, not just to do research, but to implement their research, because it was the birthplace of clean, green hydroelectric power. And power from Niagara Falls lit Buffalo, made Buffalo the city of light for the Pan Am Exposition. And then Niagara Falls went on a detour for a while, right? You probably think of Niagara Falls as being a tourist city, but through most of its history, it's been a heavy industrial city. So if you have this iconic image of Niagara Falls foremost in your mind when you think of Niagara Falls, isn't there some place, maybe in too close a second place, image of people being led away from their homes that had to be abandoned at Love Canal in the 1970s? Because that too is part of our history. So as we work now to create a more sustainable Niagara Falls economy going into the future, naturally we look towards the tourism industry. But when we do, we find ourselves crippled by the after effects, still 40 years after the fact of a failed urban renewal in our downtown area. And so the struggle for us today is to restore the legacy of Frederick Law Olmsted and dismantle at least part of the legacy of Robert Moses. And as John said, with some great support from our governor and lieutenant governor, we're in the process of undertaking projects to remove a significant portion of our waterfront expressway in Niagara Falls to restore the natural environment along the Niagara River Gorge. And that's something we've been working on for a very, very long time. It's the issue that got me involved in public life, and I think it's something that all of you from CNU can take pride in as well, because your president and CEO has been such a great advocate for removal of waterfront expressways from long before even he took the helm of this organization. So we hope that you will enjoy your side forays to Niagara Falls, where you can see the work that has been done already, and you can participate in a charrette on Saturday to help us decide what comes after the Robert Moses Parkway. Thank you very much.
All right. Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz. Is that close? Close enough. Come on up. Erie County is an interesting county because it is 1/3 rural, 1/3 suburban, and 1/3 city. And the county executive is a native of Lackawanna, which is an older suburb, very much like a city. And he's very interested in the interplay of that. And so it's interesting to urbanists to see this aspect of the Buffalo area. Mark?
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. One thing the mayor didn't say about one of the reasons why our beer consumption is so high is our bars are open till 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, I know that will probably hurt the attendance at the early morning meetings tomorrow, but as a county executive, where I end up collecting most of the sales tax associated with the spending in this community, I hope you spend a lot of money this weekend. And if it's at a bar, that's okay, but just make sure you get up in time for the meetings in the morning. We are very happy to have you here because you really are coming at a time when we are seeing a true rebirth in the city of Buffalo and Erie County. John said it best. Erie County is an interesting county. It's got a little over 900,000 people, of which it really is 1/3 urban, 1/3 suburban, and the other third exurbs in rural area. And when you represent a community like that, it has so much diversity, you are never going to be able to get agreement on all the issues. But for the first time in many years, we're actually seeing agreement on what needs to be done. You would not have heard it 20, 30 years ago if you went to this community where people said, so goes the city, so goes the rural areas, so go the suburbs. But you hear that now, and you even hear it from individuals who live in the rural areas that understand, legislators, that we have to support our urban core if we're going to have a strong region as well, because as the city of Buffalo goes, so goes the rest of the region. And it's promising to see that, because what the Lieutenant Governor talked about were the regional economic development councils that we have now in place. And for the first time that I can say truly in the history of this region, you have public officials and private officials from both political parties saying we need to put down our separate hats and work together to create a better community. And a lot of the things that you've been talking about for many years are some of the things that we're implementing on the local level. The mayor talked about the Green Code. Mayor Brown, that has talked about the Green Code in the city of Buffalo. Mayor Dyster talked about the things that he's working on in Niagara Falls. In Erie County government ourselves, we've implemented a smart growth plan and smart growth initiatives to help not only the city of Buffalo, but our urban areas, including implementing a multi-million-dollar smart growth venture fund in which we allow our village centers to compete against each other, to come up with plans that we would then fund as a county level to create more walkable villages, more walkable centers, whether it be in an urban core or a suburban core, or for that matter, in the middle of a farmland rural area. Because we realize that only by grasping the ideas that you've been talking about for 21 years now, and you will be talking about here in your 22nd year, can our communities grow. So I want to thank you on behalf of the people of Erie County for not only choosing Buffalo and Erie County as the location of your 22nd Congress, but for advocating these ideas for many years, which are now taking hold. And I think that's the important thing you need to take, at least for me, is that what you've been talking about for many, many years now are now taking hold in government, because we in government realize that only by strengthening our urban cores can we then strengthen our suburban and our rural areas. Only by creating a more walkable community, whether it be in downtown city of Buffalo or the village of East Aurora, or the village of Springville, way out in our farmland, can we strengthen these communities, which in end create better communities for all. I have one rule of thumb when I talk to my staff about what we've accomplished in county government. And I feel if we've left the community in better shape than when we took it, we've succeeded in a way that maybe other communities haven't or other elected officials haven't. And I'm proud to say that based on some of the ideas that you've been pushing for many years, I think we are leaving our community in better shape, and you should all get a round of applause for that. Thank you for coming to Buffalo and Erie County. I hope you enjoy the stay, spend lots of money.
All right, thank you very much, County Executive. And I just wanted to relay a private conversation that Mayor Brown and I had in his office about how it's time for Buffalo to start expanding its transit system again. And I know my mother-in-law agrees with that. She's from East Aurora, and she thinks there should be a light rail line to East Aurora. So I just want to put that in your mind. All right, so we're almost to another phase of the presentations here, but Patrick Keeler, who is the Visit Buffalo Niagara President and CEO, has done so much. He and his staff have done so much to make this successful. And I want him to just make a few remarks, and I want everybody to give him and his staff a big hand for making Buffalo such a welcoming place.
Thank you very much and good evening. Welcome to Buffalo, Niagara. We are so excited to have you here on behalf of the staff of Visit Buffalo, our ambassadors, our volunteers. We are so pleased to have the CNU 22 here in Buffalo. And while you're out and about, and I've been in my office today watching what you've been doing on social media, and I just want to make everybody aware that you will see these signs around downtown. They're out on the sidewalks, they're out on the floors. Want to make sure that you see these, and hashtag us at CNU 22. If you have any questions about things to see and do while you're in Buffalo, tweet us at Buffalo Niagara for any questions that you might have. We have
You get a free buffalo wing?
I wish I did. Next time. If you come back, I'll give you another wing. But if you have any questions on things to see and do, restaurants, we have great restaurants that serve local produce, serve local meats from Erie County, great things to see and do. At Buffalo Niagara, tweet us. We will get information sent right back to you. Also want to make sure that you visit our volunteers that are here in the convention center as well as the host hotel, the Hyatt Regency. If you have any questions, we are prepared to make this a wonderful experience for everybody that's here in Buffalo, and make sure that you come back so that you can see all the great things that are taking place right now with our Renaissance and all the things that are coming in the future. So again, welcome to Buffalo and have a wonderful conference.